Happy Monday, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. Today is Monday, June 28th, 2021, and this is your market update video. Before we jump too much into the market update, everyone may laugh at me, which many people do, but I keep track of a lot of the Hallmark type holidays out there, and today is Insurance Awareness Day. So now this, of course, is not the video to talk about insurance, but you've heard me talk about it before, and we will revisit it again in some future planning videos, and certainly we'll talk about it in our meetings that we have. But I do recommend that you take this time on a day like today to maybe take a look at your life insurance, take a look at your long-term care insurance, maybe pull out those policies and set them aside for the next time we talk. It is something that we should review and make sure that you're set correctly. So now let's dive right into last week's market action. The market rallied to new highs last week. Let's talk about how and why and where we go from here. So Monday, the markets opened strong as we got optimism took over from the fear of the week before. Economic recovery seems to remain strong. The comments from some Fed officials that reiterated the view that inflation was transitory. S&P 500 was up almost 1.5%. Tuesday, more of the same. Powell spoke to Congress and helped to ease any lingering concerns about inflation. Remain stuck on the labor markets. Now, again, that's the main issue, and keep an eye on this. We're in another jobs week. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So good news for the jobs may mean bad news for the market. It may be like that time again. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. The S&P 500 was up another 0.5%, and the NASDAQ hit a new high. Slight pause for the market run on Wednesday to take a breath, and also a cautionary comment from Dallas Fed President Kaplan. The S&P 500 was down 0.11%, just a slight move. Thursday brought back the buying and more new highs on the heels of the presidential announcement of a bipartisan, do we even know what bipartisan means anymore around here? But an infrastructure deal without tax hikes, no tax hikes necessary on the corporate side or in the individual side. So we'll see how that goes. Economic data was a bit disappointing, but not enough to derail things. The S&P 500 was up over 0.5%. Friday was a bunch of good news. Carry forward from the infrastructure deal, despite the possible requirements for signature that the president put out there. Inflation data was okay, and earnings and bank stress data was all strong. All that contributed to the market moving up again, another 0.33%. A lot of good news for the day, and only a slight up move on the day. But again, a good week, up nearly 2.75% for the week. The bond market helped keep things moving. Low yields continue to favor the growth stocks, especially the big name tech winners. Microsoft hit $2 trillion in market cap for the first time. Going back to the leaders, nothing new. Energy and financials, they led the way. Consumer discretionary also was strong. Optimism on a strong consumer over the summer. So we're back to where we were before the Fed the Fed meeting scare that we had a couple of weeks ago. With all of our four pillars of growth, they're still in place. The general outlook remains positive, at least as far as things go for now. As far as looking out this week, let's talk about this. As I mentioned before, this is jobs week again, which again, the big report is on Friday, but we'll get some preview data on Wednesday from the ADP and Thursday from jobless claims. Watch for the bad news is good news and good news is bad news thing for the economy. Again, we might be that way again. So we're also set to get some manufacturing data, some consumer confidence data, and even some housing data. Remember housing? We actually used to pay attention to housing data and what that did. We may do that again, so keep an eye on that. A quick look at commodities. Oil keeps pushing higher. Demand in the summer driving season may continue to push things up. OPEC's output announcement, a hike of only 500,000 barrels a day versus what they were expected to increase the output of 1 million barrels a day. That, of course, we know, lower supply, higher demand. There are calls for $100 a barrel oil. So, of course, that just means higher prices for us at the pump, and we'll have to see, is that transient? Usually it's not. It rarely is transient when it comes to the pump. So the dollar was a bit weaker. Gold was up only a bit last week, and the 10-year yield is back to where it was before the Fed started their last meeting. This week is starting strong, but as always, there are pockets of weakness and strength always to be found. We maintain that we will still see some grinding higher at this point. Later this year, again, that's another story. We'll talk about that as we get moving through the year. So leading up to Friday's job reports, I'd expect to see a lot of Fed presidents speak. They're on the docket, so we'll see how that goes. Don't be surprised to see them float some trial balloons, to see what this market can handle when it comes to either tapering or increased interest rates. transient inflation, non-transient inflation, what that's going to see. We're going to see what these Fed presidents say. We've got a clear direction from Jay Powell. We're just going to see what these other guys are going to talk about and see how they come through. Voting and non-voting members are set to speak this week. So we'll see how the market reacts. Earnings season is coming soon. We'll talk more about that next week. But what these companies say about what the back half of this year looks like to them will make or break this market. So I hope you get that you caught my video on Friday about capital gains. You can see my videos now on Twitter and on LinkedIn. And also catch my articles in the Voice of Chicago magazine. So we'll hit some more important planning topics on Friday. If something urgent happens, watch for a special video. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing this with other people. If you think that they'll have interest in it, have a great week.